In my last video, I displayed a lot of the vehicles that I've made in Kerbal Space Program, a lot of my aircraft. And one viewer said, "Dang bro, I'm in love with the F28." And I agree. I definitely agree. And he actually inspired me to make a series breaking down most of the aircraft that I've made and some of the ones that I think are pretty cool and are share worthy. So thank you, Concavenator Core Cavitus. Sorry if I butchered your name, but thank you for the series inspiration. This is the F28. This is the Strike Wasp. It is a fighter aircraft. It can do a versatile amount of things. It can do air to ground, such as a Maverick, AGM-65 Maverick. Has extended range with 3 undermounted fuel cells, extra jettisonable fuel cells, and can be mounted with AMRAAMs, Sidewinders, HARMs, any missile fitting the profile of what you need to be getting done. Right now, this is set up for long-range multi-strike. That's why it is the EX variant. Extended range, it's an extended range vehicle. And it has 7 pylons, 7 hard points. So you can put on. Right now, it has 3 tanks. You can put 0 tanks with only missiles. You can do all tanks if you want, if you're going for real long range and just use your gun. And this has 2 20mm Vulcans hidden. I love this aircraft. It has a FLIR targeting system as well for air to ground, and it has a forward-looking radome. This is one of the most versatile aircraft I've made. It is it's not as maneuverable as it should be. I would agree. It's a swept wing design in a way, and I think that's where its downfall is because there's not a ton of lift area. It has big wings for sure, but it definitely could be fixed. I'm just not exactly sure how. Even it could even be this little delta piece right here that's preventing a lot of it. Also, I think it's just kind of back. It's kind of heavy all around. This is one of the heavier aircraft. It is about 20 tons. The real world parallel to this aircraft is sort of a mix between the F-15 Eagle and the F-18 Super Hornet. It's sort of the intakes are definitely based off of the F-18 Super Hornet. Even though I am partial to the Legacy Hornet intakes, I think those look a lot better. But this is definitely based off of that aircraft in real life. It has some inspirations from other aircrafts. The wings are definitely, this part is the outer wing especially is definitely more akin to the F-15. It has 3 air brakes. These are the surface-mounted air brakes. This is an actual just vertical air brake. The F-18 weighs about 16, so this is about 3 tons heavier. This is also very heavily fueled up. These are all full of liquid fuel. Not a ton, only 25. That's actually not that very heavy. But this one more? No? Okay. I guess, I mean, the Mavericks are pretty heavy, so that definitely could be. But this aircraft definitely does have a lot of capabilities. And I use it a lot in a lot of my videos because it's the jack of all trades. This does have an ejection seat, like any modern fighter aircraft, but it's more of an ejection capsule. The way I do ejection seats in this game is I jettison with couplers. Let's see if I can. Oh, they're kind of smashed in there. Oh, there's one. So there's a coupler there, and it separates the aircraft. Actually, let's go ahead and check out the action group. On the abort, which is my backspace, it will detach at the decoupler. It shuts down the engine so it doesn't keep shoving, because then the centrifugal force will just push it up, or keep pushing onto the cockpit. And then it deploys a radio-mounted parachute on the back, so Jeb or Bill or Bob can descend safely. Not that it doesn't have its faults. It definitely does. I've killed a lot of pilots in this machine. In a quick run through of my action groups, just like the FA-18, this is a carrier-capable aircraft. It has a tailhook, so this can land on aircraft carriers, runways with an arrestor hook. I don't think that is in this game, but The aircraft carriers definitely are with an arrestor hook. The action groups, I always have my one key as just the toggle the end. Oh, it's activate. Well, that's interesting. That should be toggle. We're fixing stuff right now. So the toggle engine, this will turn, you can press 1, it'll turn it on, press 2, it'll turn it off. 2 will switch mode, that goes to afterburner, that turns it to wet. 3 is my fire my AMRAMs. 3, so these are different set AMRAMs, so it'll fire, 3 will fire the 1 missile, 4 will fire the number 2, and then the Maverick will be both. Oh, that's interesting. And then nothing on these keys at this point. These hard points are supposed to be for, oh yeah, these are for the actual pylon. Oh, these are the drop pylons. Okay, I don't know, actually, I didn't know I programmed that. So if you'd like to jettison your fuel tanks without dropping the rest of your armament, you can just 8 and 9 key, you'll drop your fuel tanks if you're doing an emergency jettison, if you're trying to evade. And then 0 is my toggle, my hook. So once you land, or before you're landing, you're coming in, about to land on the carrier. Press 0, drop the hook down, catch the wire, and then as you slow down, once you come to almost full stop, you pull the hook back up. I think that the best way to show how versatile this aircraft is just to show it. So this is the F28 Strike Wasp. You can see everything in its beauty in daylight. Kind of a bug with the game is that you have the brake on, you'll just kind of drift, but we can go and counteract that. We will go ahead and fire up this aircraft. So 1 key starts the engines. And we are going to go up third throttle, afterburner on. We have SAS on because this does get a little, most of my aircraft get a little dancy if you don't have the SAS on. So we're going to go and take off, gear away, and we can switch back to dry. Now this is full pitch backwards, and it doesn't have as much of a... I really wish it did maneuver a little bit better for what it is, but this is pretty heavy. This is a pretty heavy... Let me go ahead and drop my fuel tank section. Now let's see if we have a little bit more... definitely better pitch response. Also something that differs from the real-world F-18, besides the HARV, I think is what it was called. This does have thrust vectoring on its rear nozzles, which helps it maneuver a whole lot more in this game. I'm sure it would help the F-18 as well, but it is a pretty experimental technology, and in the United States Air Force, that is thrust vectoring is only on the F-22 Raptor. Russia does employ thrust vectoring on their aircraft a lot more than American aircraft do. This is a supersonic aircraft. We will go ahead and get over this mountain range, and we will do full burn. And we notice that that is a very large acceleration very quickly. We're already at 300 meters. About 330, 340 is Mach 1. We are already producing vapor clouds, and we are supersonic at this point. And to demonstrate, we can do a flyby, and you will hear a sonic boom. And there was the boom. This does top out at about 350 meters per second. 350 meters per second is just about Mach 1.1, about Mach 1. So this is just barely a supersonic aircraft. It will hit supersonic speeds while fully loaded with all the 3 fuel tanks as well. And I'm sure at thinner air, we're only at, what's our ground level? We're only at 2,300 ground level. Anything above 230 meters, I'm sure that we are definitely, so even right now, as we go into thinner air, we are increasing with speed, even at a 10%, even at a 10-degree pitch. This plane can sustain high G maneuvers. Right then, we just pulled 9.8, and no structural failures. In real life, if you pulled 9.8 in an F-18, the airframe would probably be trashed, but luckily this isn't real life. And so we are going to test out the ejection seats before we try some of the air-to-air and air-to-ground capabilities of this machine. So you don't have to be a certain speed. This is a 0, 0 airspeed, 0 altitude ejection system. But we are going to punch out in 3, 2, 1, and we ejected. Aircraft gone. The rockets did not fire. I think that was a bug. I might need to change that. There we go. But normally the ejection Separatrons would fire, which would launch the aircraft, or would launch the crew capsule out of harm's way, and it would let it descend to Earth very slowly, very safely, and wait for recovery. And so now let's go ahead and take a look at some of the air-to-air and air-to-ground capabilities. This is the Gull. This is definitely not a fighter. This is a waterborne, has pontoons here. This is a water recovery aircraft, but it is also an aggressor aircraft because it is highly maneuverable and somewhat quick for having just a Tiger J85 on it. But this is a very maneuverable, pretty good target aircraft. We're going to go ahead and use this as our target, and this is going to be the Strike Wasp. So we are going to have this guy take off, and we will catch up with him. He is unarmed. The Gull is unarmed, but we are just using him for target practice purposes, so he doesn't need to be armed. I'm going to jettison my heavy tanks again, because we don't necessarily need those. So we are coming around on the Gull, and we are going to set it to guard mode so it will try and evade us. Now it is evading. Oh my god. Almost just nosed on me. That's crazy. I looked down to check my weapon system, and he already turned his nose. He is going for a gun kill that he does not have. I need to get behind him, and he is not wanting to work with me. We're going to create some distance between them. This is definitely not the practical use for an AMRAAM. We just pulled a very high G maneuver. We are coming around. Have a radar lock. You're going to fire and see if that AMRAAM can hit. That's no way that's going to hit. No. So we might need to be head to a couple kilometers out. We're not going to go to BVR, but we're going to be somewhat close. We just need a couple kilometers separation. Let's see if we can hit him with that one. That's going to hit. And aircraft destroyed. Sorry, Mr. Gull. Now for this test, we are going to do a air-to-ground scenario. So we are armed with AGM-65 Mavericks. So we are going to turn around a second and get a lock with our FLIR ball and drop a Maverick on him. I love the Maverick. It's an anti-tank weapon, more specifically, as a heat warhead, but it will destroy an aircraft on the ground. It is probably more of a Hellfire sort of scenario to use to do air-to-ground on a target like that, but this will work just fine. So we're going to slow down just so we can acquire a lock with our FLIR ball. We have our targeting pod. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see what I'm working with here. We're going to angle down on the runway because he is right at the runway. Zoom in. There is our Gull. So we are going to send this to our GPS. Locked with our GPS. Now we are going to have to turn back around and get a bit better angle. Most real pilots do this from 50 miles out, 20, 30 miles out, so you don't have to divert course and get back on course with your target. But we are, I think that would be out of the visual range of the physics engine. So we are turning, because we are currently at gimbal limit. The FLIR ball is locked. It is locked on target still, but it can't angle that hard. So once we start turning around, it'll come back into view. And we're back on. We are going to get our Maverick ready to go. This is a 5500 range max, which is 5.5 kilometers. So we're going to get within firing range. Let's do at just under 5,000. We are going to fire one. We are watching on the FLIR ball. See if we destroy the target. I've had a bit of problems with the Maverick, so we'll see if this works. Looks like we're on target so far. Ooh, we might miss. I can't tell from this angle. And direct hit. And vehicle destroyed. Very nice. The history of the F28 is pretty deep. This is the flag I used in the first season of Kerbal at War for the United faction. So this aircraft was featured in those older videos, and some changes have been made. Not a ton, if you're looking at it. The engines, I think these are the same engines. These, I believe, are tilted backwards more now. That was probably causing an airflow problem, and the wings were unpainted because I didn't know how to paint them, because I just downloaded ProceduralWings, which is a godsend. This is one of the best mods in Kerbal Space Program. The procedural wings, you can make anything you want. You can make procedural, you can make control surfaces. It's a fantastic mod, and I highly recommend you support the creator. But this is an older, definitely older aircraft. It has the slant gears. This was one of the first changes I made for carrier-capable aircraft. It works really well with these intakes. You mount them to the intakes, so it's not, because these are normally pretty short landing gear. But with the intakes, it's the same level as the front gear. And also, I'm sure you guys noticed that there is a middle pylon that's not populated yet, and these external tanks are here. They're a little bit different looking. They look like a bomb, and it has Mark 82 Snake Eyes as the bomb. So this was not a super advanced aircraft that I had. I hadn't learned a lot how to use radar or a lot of the air-to-ground systems. So dumb bombs was the way to do it back then. This is the first iteration of the Strike Wasp. This is the second iteration of the Strike Wasp, the HW2, Heavy Weaponized 2. This is when I first started doing longer range missions. It has 3 external tanks. These might be the same tanks. I actually haven't paid attention. Those might be on the new ones. And if you notice, this does have a AIM 54 Phoenix, so we are going F14 status. I had used that in one of my other videos as well. And this does start incorporating the Mavericks, so I started learning how to use the FLIR system, which it's kind of an interesting lineup with a semi-active radar missile when I could have just used an AMRAAM, which would have been a lot easier. But this was the second iteration of this aircraft, and it still has the old UKF flag. So this is definitely one of the older ones, a couple years old. And comparison to the newer generation, it is, you can definitely see it's almost the same. Different gear, obviously. And now I see I do have the same bomb sort of style drop tanks, which is funny. But now this is air-to-ground, air-to-air capable, extended range patrol, versatile with guns, and it has the new flag on it, and has painted wings finally, except for the front. I couldn't get the front to paint properly. The Procedural Wings mod is great. It does have bugs though, so could also be my problem. I'm not excellent at this game. But this has been one of my favorite aircraft to work with. I have hundreds of other ones, and I'm very excited to keep making videos going over my projects. I love this game. The scale, everything about this game is fantastic. I love the physics engine, and I'm really excited to keep showing off my aviation projects. This was the F28 Strike Wasp 2. So I will see you guys in the next one, and thank you guys for watching.